Unchurned is presented by UpdateAI.
Everyone will interpret everything, any sort of language, any statement differently. It's kind of the fun of linguistics. There's like a social aspect to it, a cognitive aspect to it, and with our group of people. And so we all have different perspectives, different backgrounds of life.
Welcome to Unchurned, a show about the leaders and innovators of companies who have forged incredible customer relationships and stories you can use to advance your own career. Here's your host, Josh Schachter.
Everybody, and welcome to this episode of Unchurned. I'm Josh Schachter, your host of Unchurned and founder and CEO of UpdateAI. In this program, we speak to so many amazing people that are doing incredible things in customer success and customer experience and all those tangential functions. And it occurred to me recently that while we are learning from others that are out there in the industry and who are incredibly talented. In my own company, UpdateAI, I have some amazing talent as well. And one of those people who I am most proud of, who has actually been with UpdateAI the longest and has had a profound impact on what we do. And I would like everybody to really kind of learn from in this episode and be introduced to is Chenay Gladstone. Chenay has been with UpdateAI for a little over 2 years. She is our head of data analysis. She is the data analyst. Well, she'll explain what she does. But Chenay wanted to give you your proper due, showcase you in this episode. So thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Okay. I didn't really give people a really good sense of what you do, Chenay. You've been with UpdateAI for a little over 2 years. Tell us, what do you do at UpdateAI?
Yeah, I think we might need to revisit what my actual title is because I don't really think it encapsulates it either. But I lead the analysis of human language data and analysis at Update. So that means I look for language patterns and annotate data and train people on annotating our data to help our data science team build and improve our model.
You analyze data and language patterns. Okay. So for folks that have never used UpdateAI, they don't know what it is. For folks that do know what it is, what exactly does that mean? Like, what's the topic, if you will, of the data that you're annotating?
So we are looking for action items in meeting transcripts. So we're looking for combinations of words, phrases that people use that commonly signal that something is an action item. So the most basic example I could give of this is when someone says "I will," for us, a large part of those cases will be action items. So looking for things like that.
So just to step back 1 second, the one of the key value props of UpdateAI is that we are there in your Zoom conversations, behind the scenes, detecting the action items that are overheard in the conversation, and the example you just gave. And so your work relates to helping us create that taxonomy of all the action items. Like how have we created the logic around that? And it's not just Control F keyword search of, we look for the word email or send. This is stuff that you and the rest of our data science team has spent a long time working on to get to the right level. So just wanted to set that context for everybody. Tell us a little bit more. Tell us a little bit more about the help build up that story, because you've been working on it for 2 years now with me. So what does that look like for you working as our head of data annotation?
What does that look like on a daily basis? Or you want me to start from 2 years ago up until now?
Let's go quickly. 2 years up until now.
Okay, 2 years up until now. It was just a group of us. I remember on my first day sitting there, arguing, debating over one sentence, if it should or should not be an action item. And we didn't really have any reasoning really for backing up our arguments. It was kind of just what we felt if someone said this to us in a meeting, how we would interpret that. And it's kind of developed now into having more reasoning behind why we think something is or is not an action item. And that started with us taking transcripts from companies who are willing to work with us in our super early stages and analyzing those action items and those notes, and again, going through and finding patterns for what we decided were and were not action items. So we found kind of little different categories like requests or offers, things that we called self-assigned. So the speaker is assigning an action item to themselves. And we were able to break those down into the language patterns of those categories. And again, I'll use that example with I will. So that is like a sub pattern for us. And along with that, we found examples that in those patterns of language patterns that signal that something is not an action item. So in this case of I will, if someone says, I will send the emails, for us, that is an action item. But if someone says, I will be fine, that like state of being after I will, that is not an action item.
So it's very nuanced. It's nuanced here sometimes, the differentiation in the rules.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not always that simple. What's an action item? What's not an action item? Even within the team, I've been in exercises with you and Sergey, our head of data science. We've been in exercises together and we don't all agree on what an action item is. So how in the world is a machine supposed to get it right? And of course, it's not going to be 100% always, but can you tell everybody a little bit about how we've approached that problem?
Yeah. So everyone will interpret everything, any sort of language, any statement differently. It's kind of the fun of linguistics. There's like a social aspect to it, a cognitive aspect to it. And with our group of people, we have you, Josh, as our CEO. We have Sergey on our data science team, who's from Ukraine. You have me as a female, probably maybe the youngest on the team. And so we all have different perspectives, different backgrounds of life, and how like something that you, Josh, said, when you say something to us, it holds a little more weight than maybe what someone else on the team would say, because like you in our hierarchy are like our boss. You are, you have more weight than what everyone else would say.
Chenay, you're going to get a lot of listeners right now shaking their heads saying, no, that's an incorrect bias that the team should not be weighed just because of my title. But okay, carry on.
I mean, but it is what it is. If you use how we've been calling it, like not strong language, someone is likely still to follow through with that task that you request as opposed to maybe someone else on the team. So that kind of affects how we interpret things.
Cool. What's the goal for the end user? So data science and artificial intelligence are incredibly powerful, but without action behind them, there's really no point. So in the detection of the action items that we are facilitating, that you and the team have created this taxonomy and detection around, what's the end value for our users?
We basically want to help our users not miss anything important in their meetings. With the increase of virtual meetings, and I guess the ease that comes with booking them and hosting them and being a part of them, people have back-to-back meetings all day. And we want to help alleviate some of the pressure that comes with taking notes and remembering everything that comes from these meetings and sending recaps themselves and following up with customers and whatever else may come in their roles. And by detecting these action items, we want to help them remember what they need to follow up on, what other people in their meetings need to follow up on, and basically serve as a backup for whatever notes that they decide to take in their meeting.
Cool. I think you said it very well. That was one of the most acute pains when we spoke to people when we were first starting to get Update going, is help me manage my task overwhelm in my back-to-back meetings. And so that for us is the starting point.
Is the drag of taking notes after back-to-back customer meetings slowing you down? Or even worse, did you miss something your customer asked for 3 meetings ago? UpdateAI, the latest investment from Zoom Ventures, is here to help. Featuring the world's most advanced artificial intelligence to detect action items, UpdateAI joins your Zoom meetings and in real time delivers your follow-ups and next steps from customer calls. Save hours of busy work, stay more present in your conversations, and make sure your team is always on track. Sign up for your trial of UpdateAI today at www.update.ai.
Hey guys, it's Josh. If you're like me, you buy the doggy poop bags on Amazon.com that have the most ratings and reviews. So please, give our podcast a rating or review. It'll help others discover us. Go ahead right now. I'll be here when you get back.
Want to turn now a little bit more to you. Chenay, what were you doing before UpdateAI? And tell folks out there how it came about for you to work at UpdateAI.
Before UpdateAI, I was in grad school and I was also teaching high school ESL. And then I transitioned into doing marketing for a rehabilitation center. I was a copywriter and editor there for a few months, but due to budgeting problems and the impact of COVID, the whole marketing team was laid off. And so I was basically just out looking for a job. And a friend of mine from my time studying abroad in Germany posted about, I guess, her father's cousin who had an opening at UpdateAI for what was called a content specialist. And so I applied because I was looking for a job, and, content marketing kind of sounded similar. I didn't honestly really know what to expect at the time. And I spoke to you, Josh, and then I was declined the offer because someone else was more skilled.
No, it was not more skilled, had more experience,
Yeah. And so, yes, I did not get the job, but then you followed up with me a week or so later.
I did. Because I was very impressed with our conversation. By the way, a couple things that you just that I want to expand on what you just said. So first of all, Chenay speaks fluent German. That was your study abroad, which I think is incredibly impressive. Yes, it's my cousin's daughter that, shout out to Kara, who made the introduction for us. It was still pretty random though. But I do remember thinking to myself, I could tell that you were very smart, and I could tell that you were somebody who would be loyal to the company, who was open to kind of taking on anything and excelling in it. And listen, that's what we've gotten. So glad that it's worked out. You mentioned your degree in passing. Tell us more about your master's degree.
My master's is in linguistics and applied linguistics.
Okay, what does that mean?
Linguistics is the scientific study of language, and applied linguistics is solving language-related real-life problems.
Perfect. I mean, and that's obviously that appealed to us as well, to me as well as a hiring manager of having that background. And that's why it's been perfect for you through your master's in linguistics, to help us come up with a linguistics taxonomy and pattern for action item detection and more, and the stuff that we're working on for the next gen behind the scenes. What motivates you, Chenay?
Fear and anxiety.
Two of my favorites. Yeah. Say more.
I am not a people pleaser. I'll make that very clear. I have no problem not pleasing people, but I don't like not pleasing people who are important to me. So if I feel like I'm letting someone down who's important to me, or that I'm not meeting expectations, I get a lot of anxiety. And so to manage that anxiety, I just try to perform as well as I feel I'm expected to perform. Personally and professionally.
So you're more of a stick than a carrot person as far as your motivation. Well, we'll work on that. We'll work on the motivation by fear. And, what would motivate you outside of fear? What are your dreams, your visions? Is it a yacht in the Caribbean? Is it just self-actualization? Let's spin that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I guess happiness, however one wants to define that. I guess the ideal life is being happy and financially stable, which I think, at least in our society, somewhat goes hand in hand.
Fair enough. And what are you most happy, proud of accomplishing in the 2 years that you've worked with us?
I'm glad that we finally got our product out the door. Like I said, 2 years ago, I remember sitting in that first meeting, and it seemed like we were having a very nonsensical circular conversation, and somehow we were able to channel that into getting something useful for other people in the world.
Yeah, it's been a road, for sure. It's been a journey. It's been a gravel road. We're all very excited about that. And what's the biggest thing that you've learned, and perhaps the biggest way that you've grown over the past 2 years?
I've learned a lot about the different things that go into creating a company and running a startup. In these past 2 years, I've gone back to school to get an MBA and have that formal knowledge of things, but being with Update and seeing all the things that you, Josh, have had to juggle, and sitting in on a couple of investor meetings, and then kind of just helping out with different teams here and there with whatever's needed. I've been able to see the different sides to running a business. And that's been interesting, but also enlightening. And
that's why you're motivated by fear and anxiety is yes. watching me on a day-to-day basis. I get it. It all comes full circle. Yeah. What do you want to be doing in 5 years, Chenay? And I want you, there's no brown nosing here, not UpdateAI stuff. Who knows? 5 years is a long time in startup years. So what do you want? What's your dream 5 years from now?
In 5 years, if the stars aligned and everything in my life was perfect, I would be a professional indoor volleyball player. I've been playing for 13 years, coached it, dabbled in beach, all that, but I know that's a little unrealistic. So more realistically, if Update is around in 5 years, I'd hope I'd still be part of the company, because I really do actually like working at Update and working with the people I work with. But if it's not, I'd still like to be involved with linguistics in some way, shape, or form. So maybe I'd go back to content editing. Maybe I would go back to teaching. Maybe I would, I don't know, get my PhD and do some research in something related to language. I'm not sure, but I guess those are my options.
Cool. Chenay, thank you so much for being in this extension of our interviews of really incredible people and looking introspectively on our own team. It was important for us to start out with you as our guest. And I really appreciate your time today.
And it'll redirect to my profile. Thanks.